Good morning and welcome to Democracy Uncensored, a program that gives a voice to defenders of the interests of peoples and nations. And I'm pleased to meet three members of the European Parliament that represent Denmark with Peter Kofod. Hello. France with Jérôme Rivière.
Hello.
Bonjour. And Italy, of course, with Marco Campomenosi.
Hello.
So let's start with you. You are a Italian member, of course, of the Committee on International Trade in the European Parliament. And last year, the EU concluded negotiations for a comprehensive agreement on investment with China that so far has proven to be quite controversial. We can say that China does not respect human rights as they are perceived by the EU. So could you tell us more about this agreement?
Well, we were quite surprised, and the days were between Christmas and the beginning of a new year, that the European Commission suddenly concluded the negotiation with China on investments. And we were surprised because we were focusing on the respect of human rights in Hong Kong, with minorities, with the respect of Taiwan, because they are facing also the issue of COVID and making proposals at the level of WHO. Not only WHO, and not only Australia has a free trade agreement with China. They only asked to the world community that a good idea could be to have an international trial in order to see and understand what has happened in Wuhan. And the reaction of China was retaliation, a very strong retaliation against the products from Australia. So we were asking the European Commission, is this the right moment to conclude a negotiation? We believe in free trade, we believe in investment agreements, but we think that we need to have these agreements in order to find high-level standards in democracy, environment, respect of workers, and the respect of our producers and workers, because we have also to remember that our producers are sometimes faced against unfair trade conditions.
So let's turn to Italy now. You are the Italian member of the European Parliament, so I guess you can be able to give us some details regarding the situation around the case that was filed against your former Minister of Interior, Matteo Salvini. So the pre-trial took place last week in Italy, and the public prosecutor conducted it, indicted Mr. Salvini with under the charges of kidnapping for having denied access to 149 illegal immigrants to disembark on the Italian shore. So what happened?
Every Italian knows very well, of course, I mean the persons which are in good faith, that this is totally crazy. We cannot say and use other adjectives, because Salvini did not kidnap any illegal immigrant. Italy, when he was Interior Minister, provided every kind of support by the health, regarding the health situation, regarding the situation of women and children. But of course, some judges in Italy are making politics, and this is not the first trial against Salvini for the same reasons. In another occasion, he has been totally acquitted by the prosecutors. Now in Palermo, we have a new trial. It seems that it will go on. We will see. The citizens will have their opinion on that. What is very interesting is that the city of Palermo has asked to be called in trial as a part, as representing the immigrants as well. And they did not did this for an important trial against mafia a few years ago. And so it's very interesting. They defend, they want to defend and be represented in this trial against Salvini, but they did not the same against mafia. So this is very funny, but I think that citizens will clearly understand and see what is happening.
Thank you. And let's move on to France now. 2 days ago, French President Emmanuel Macron declared that Turkey would try to interfere in France's 2022 presidential election. He also denounced a policy of lies on behalf of Turkey. At the same time, he said, we must do absolutely everything to ensure that Turkey does not turn its back on Europe. So, Jérôme Rivière, why does Europe have to re-engage in a relationship with a country that actually blackmails and threatens the member states of the EU?
Before answering your question, I would like to add on what Marco said, because what Matteo Salvini is experiencing, which is extremely unfair because he was doing his job as a Minister of Interior, is an experience that we share in many countries. Right now, the system, or the system put in place by the globalists, the people that believe in open borders, massive immigration, all these people have put a system in place that aims to weaken the political leader that believe in nations. And Matteo Salvini, like Marine Le Pen in France, is a leader that believes that our nations are the first priorities. This is where citizens are the most secure, and the COVID crisis reminded us of that as soon as last year. And I remember the flags in Italy of Italians burning the European flag because they were disappointed by the European Union. We had the same disappointment in Denmark, we had the same disappointment in France. With Turkey, it is the exact same thing. There is this belief among some administrative, non-elected official at the European Union level that believes that we should expand Europe all the way to China. Why not Japan? They believe it's a dream, it's an open border. They are only aiming things towards easy profit. And easy profit is that they turn the European citizen into a European consumer and tomorrow into a European product. They don't see us as citizens with specific identities, specific rights. Turkey is now an open adversary of the European nations. Erdogan has explained his policies. He wants to reinstate a caliphate in Europe, which is an Islamist vision, which has nothing to do with Islam. Islamism is an ideology that kills people. Let's remember that all over Europe, people that have been targeted by terrorist attack have been targeted by Islamists' terrorist attack. And right now, despite what some of the people in the EPP or the group or Renew group are saying, they pretend that they want to put Turkey at bay. In fact, we see every day that more credits are given to the Turkish government, and we see that in fact they have absolutely no intention of respecting what the European people want, which is no more open doors towards the arrival of Turkey inside the European Union. And Emmanuel Macron is the exact example of a two-faced person. In France, he tells us, look, we don't want Turkey, we are going to be strong against this adversary. And facing the European Union is blessing them whenever they say, oh, we desperately need to work with Turkey. Let's think that today is a special day for a big nation in Europe, which is for Greece. 200 years ago, Greece got its independence from the Ottoman Empire with the help of some nations, including France. And I'm very proud to know that the Greeks are holding the flame, being in the first line against the Turkish border, where so many migrants are pushed by Erdogan to invade our countries.
So I would like to ask you one more question on Turkey. We know that the European Union has so-called pre-accession instrument, which represents the means by which the EU supports reforms in the enlargement countries, mostly with financial support. So under this instrument, Turkey got more than 9 billion euro. But we know also that in 2019, the Council of the European Union announced that the accession negotiations with Turkey had come to a standstill. So why does the EU go on with financing Turkey?
That's an excellent question for which no reasonable person has a reasonable answer. We should stop all financing of Turkey. But let me give you another example. It is a little more local, but you know Strasbourg is the seat of the European Parliament, and the city of Strasbourg just decided to allocate 2.5 million euros to a mosque that is financed on the other side by Erdogan. Erdogan came in Strasbourg, he did campaign, and when he was campaigning, he was aggressing France and European Union. And we should not have one dime of European citizens, and specifically in my case, of French citizens going towards such project. But we see that the system, again, this globalist, open border, pro-migrant system, is financing Erdogan's Turkey every which way. It does not make any sense. And we are fighting here at the ID group. Every time we can, we are fighting this bleeding of European money towards Turkey.
Thank you, Jean Rivière. So, Mr. Koffert, do you think that, according to you, actually, has the EU learned anything from the migration crisis back in 2015?
Honestly, the European Union is a big failure on this. It was back in 2015 when we really had a huge amount of people just walking into Europe because of Merkel's promises and invitation. I don't believe the European Union has learned anything from that situation. I mean, we still have problems with our external border. The European Commission, even the Parliament, they use their energy on fighting our national border control. In Denmark, we have worked many years to try to make a decent, good border control. And the European Union is fighting that instead of fighting, you know, at the external borders. I think it's a complete disaster. They haven't learned anything. And from what Mr. Rivière just said, we're even financing Turkey. We are financing people who try and works on undermining our borders. It's completely ridiculous.
So do you actually believe that the external borders of the EU can be protected? And actually, migration flows, can they be stopped?
Of course. It's a question of will. It's a question of priorities. If you want to make sure that you have secure, strong external borders, you can have it. We have seen Australian borders. They have done a significant, really good work there with the Australian model. I believe we should have an Australian model, of course, with a European, modification, but we should learn from that model. What do we know from the Australian model? We know that less people are drowning. We know that they can actually control who gets into their own country. And if people need protection, they can get it, but they will never have a future in Australia. I think that's exactly the keywords we should learn from in the European Union. And honestly, I was a bit surprised when I came here as an MEP to find out that it was only the ID group fighting for these beliefs, also good parties in the ECR group, but mostly it's parties like ours fighting this fight. And the mainstream groups haven't learned anything from the crisis in 2015. That's surprising and also scary, I think.
So would you perhaps like to add something?
No, but I could add something, for example, regarding what is happening very close to Italy, because European Union has allowed Mr. Erdogan to have an influence now in Libya as well. So the situation is more and more complicated. We remember Sarkozy and Obama who destroyed Libya and did not find a solution. And this is one of the first reasons of what has happened in the years after that. And secondly, we have a European Commission has signed trade agreements with countries as Tunisia in order to support their economy, in order to export products. But they don't respect us because now we have people leaving Tunisia with boats. And last week, we have had this family with a cat or a few months ago with a dog. This is totally crazy. A newspaper in Italy has asked, listen, but from which war these people is escaping precisely? Because we don't have information regarding a war in Tunisia at the moment. So this is very, very dramatic. And of course, Italian governments have also responsibilities. At the moment, only Mr. Salvini tried to do something different. And the result is that he has trials from the Italian justice at the moment.
But it is very difficult to understand European Union. In a few minutes, we're going to have a debate regarding enlargement. And we're talking about enlarging EU to Kosovo. You have to know that 5 countries out of the 27 countries of the European Union do not recognize Kosovo. But at the same time, EU is saying, oh, but we should include Kosovo within our European Union borders. So EU does not care about being consistent or making sense. So on any subject, we still need to understand what drives them, beside the fact that they want open borders, migration for easy profits.
Thank you. Last but not least, unfortunately, we could not avoid this topic, the COVID-19. Over the past few months, the European Union has carried out a huge advertising campaign around its vaccination strategy. However, we can notice that this common strategy has shown its internal failures. Could you tell us more about it?
Well, we're losing to the United Kingdom. We're losing to the United States. We're losing to Israel. We haven't got enough vaccines. It's really not going well in the European Union. I mean, when the COVID crisis started out, the European Commission saw this as a big project for them to, get us out of this crisis. And instead, they parked us in the middle of this crisis, making sure that we didn't have the required vaccines. So it's really not any victories, European victories in this for us.
What is surprising is that, they all say together we're stronger, we can have better prices, we can have better access to vaccine. Health is not one of the prerogatives of the European Union. Yet all the governments decided, look, we will try together. And as a very basic job, which is to act as a central procurement agency, just very basic, procuring vaccine, EU failed. EU is a complete failure on vaccine. And now most countries, besides France, and I think Italy and Lega as a part in it, Italy decided that they want to add things on top of what EU is doing. And the Sputnik V vaccine is going to be produced in Italy. It's not thanks to the European Union. In France, Macron decided that no matter what, he will follow the European Union lead. And I'm very worried for my country because we lack vaccines more than any other countries in the European Union.
Honestly, the situation is complicated and it was not easy. No one was ready to take decisions. But in my country, when people at the government or at technical level has made mistakes, they have been replaced. We have a new government, which is trying to do better than the previous one. We have a new persons in charge for the emergency, even at technical level. Yesterday, when I spoke during the plenary session, I told very clearly to the European Commission, no one in Brussels is resigning, is saying we have made mistakes. Nothing is happening in Brussels. They say, no, we did mistakes because we need more power, we need more Europe. This is the reason. But this is totally crazy, of course. But we are strongly asking, and Mrs. Salvini has done the same, that people is taking their responsibility, and we would like to see people resigning from their roles here. The Commissioner on Health, the topic managers of DG Sante as well, because what is happening is totally crazy, and of course there are responsibilities also by the producers. But someone signed these agreements and they are not working. So something happened wrong, and we want transparency and we want answers.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for watching. See you soon.